Today's lesson is all about improving your English vocabulary for real estate. Knowing your English real estate vocabulary makes communicating with clients, writing emails, and participating in conference calls so much easier. That's why I've put together another list of some of the most important real estate vocabulary, going through the alphabet from A to Z. I've also included a timestamp so that you can navigate your way through the video and focus on the vocabulary that you find most relevant. Hi, I'm Jenny from Real Estate English Academy, where we help real estate professionals like you improve their English for real estate. For even more real estate English vocabulary, check out our first Real Estate English from A to Z video here. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for even more useful tips and vocabulary. A. Asking price. The asking price is the amount that the owner of a property originally lists or requests when selling an asset. It's typically up for negotiation, and the seller may end up selling the property for less if the investor is a good negotiator, or even for more if there is a lot of interest in the property and competition to buy that asset is high. The term asking price is also often used when talking about how much rent a landlord wants to charge a tenant to lease a building or rental unit. We advised our client to set the asking price for the new logistics property at slightly above current market level. B. Brownfield. A brownfield site is a plot of land that is no longer being used and that the city, a property developer, or another party is planning to develop. The difference between a brownfield site and a greenfield site is that a brownfield site has already had a previous development on it. Very often, brownfield sites are sites that were formerly used for industrial or commercial purposes and are no longer in use. Sometimes a brownfield site may involve the need to remove contamination or hazardous materials before new development can begin. There are a few brownfield sites at the edge of town that would be perfect for a business park development. C. Cosmetic repairs. Cosmetic repairs refer to repairs made to a property or building that affect its appearance. Cosmetic repairs are not structural and typically include repairs like painting, landscaping, redoing floors, and filling holes in walls and ceilings. Damage that calls for cosmetic repairs is often caused by wear and tear. The tenant is responsible for all cosmetic repairs to the property before they move out. If you want to dive deeper into real estate English, we have an online Real Estate English Essentials course that you might be interested in. It's full of valuable vocabulary, expressions, and explanations. This course is perfect for you if you need to use real estate English in your job and want to improve your written communication. Visit our website for more information. D. Defect. Defect refers to an imperfection or problem at a property. Before buying or leasing a property, the buyer and the seller, or landlord and tenant usually walk through the property and inspect it for defects. These are written down in a list and, if necessary, remedied by the seller or landlord before the deal is finalized. Minor defects are often left as is, but a record of them is made so that the tenant does not have to pay for them or repair them when they move out. We need to make sure the seller remedies the defects on the roof before we move forward with the transaction. Easement. An easement is a right that is legally granted and allows another party to access, cross, or otherwise use private land for a specific purpose. Easements are sometimes granted to utilities companies or the tenants of different buildings that are sharing facilities, like parking, on the same lot. The Land Register lists a right-of-way easement for occupants of the neighboring building to access the underground parking structure. F. Feasibility analysis. The purpose of a feasibility analysis is to analyze a property or investment in order to identify how much income can be achieved, what expenses can be expected, and the best possible use and any conditions impacting the project. We need to conduct a feasibility analysis before we decide to acquire the office asset. G. Grace period. A grace period is a period immediately following the due date or deadline by which a loan needs to be paid off or payment needs to be made. If payment is made during the grace period, no fines, late fees, or penalties are incurred. A grace period basically means that an investor or borrower has a set amount of time during which they can delay payment without any additional costs. The bank granted us a 2-month grace period. H. Hazardous materials. Hazardous materials are articles or substances that could pose significant risk to the health or safety of people using a building or a property. When a building is demolished or renovated, these materials usually need to be removed or abated by a professional before the building will pass final inspections. Hazardous materials include lead, asbestos, and mold. We had a contractor come out and do an inspection. He didn't find any hazardous materials, so we can go ahead with the project. I. Insulation or to insulate. When you insulate a building, you install material that will help control the inside temperature of that building. Insulation is the material that you use. Different areas of a building require insulation, including exposed pipes, walls, floors, and attics. Not all insulation is thermal. Insulation can also refer to acoustic insulation, which is used for soundproofing, fire insulation, which is used for fire protection, and impact insulation, which protects against vibration. The property developer used environmentally friendly materials to insulate the office new build, so we can market it as a green building. J. Jurisdiction. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines the word jurisdiction as the official power to make legal decisions, and judgments. In real estate, you typically encounter this word in contracts. Parties to an agreement usually define the place of jurisdiction, which means that all disputes or other matters pertaining to that agreement must be settled by the courts and under the laws of that place, usually a city. The place of jurisdiction shall be Madrid, Spain. K. Know your customer. Know your customer or know your client, both of which are often abbreviated as KYC, refers to specific guidelines that businesses need to follow to verify the identity, suitability, and risks involved in entering into a business relationship with another party. The KYC process is typically employed as part of a company's anti-money laundering policy. Please fill out our KYC questionnaire and return it to us to receive access to the data room. L. Listing agent. A listing agent is a real estate agent that has been hired by the owner of a property to market and sell that property. A listing agent lists the property for the owner and then comes up with a marketing plan, identifies potential buyers, and assists the property owner in negotiating the sales and purchase agreements. The listing agent contacted us to see if we had any clients that might be interested in viewing the logistics new build that is currently for sale. M. Multifamily. The term multifamily or multifamily housing refers to multiple separate housing units within one building or several buildings within one complex. In the US, these are also referred to as apartment buildings, and in the UK as a block of flats. Multifamily buildings are often situated in downtown locations and are either owner-occupied, which means that the occupiers own the apartment they live in, or rented out to tenants. Demand for multifamily housing in the neighborhood is currently very high. N. Notice. In real estate, a notice typically refers to information that is required by the terms of a contract. Both landlords and tenants are often required to give several months' notice before terminating a lease, for example. In many cases, this notice must be given in writing, which is also referred to as a written notice. Notice may need to be given regarding any number of issues, including any scheduled maintenance to a property, increases in rent, or eviction. The contract states that we are required to give the other party 2 months' notice if we want to terminate the agreement. O. Option to renew or extend a lease. Most leases are initially signed for a fixed term, which binds the parties to the lease for a specific amount of time, like 5, 10, or 15 years. Most leases also include at least one option to renew or extend the lease, which gives the tenant the opportunity to add more time to the term of the lease in an extension or to renew the lease under different terms, including rent or other changes to the lease. the tenant has an option to extend the lease for 5 years. P. Prime yields. Prime yields indicate the yield levels recorded for properties of higher quality and in better locations within a city or town. Prime yields are often analyzed in market reports in combination with the average yields in a particular location. Prime yields serve as a guideline for investors who are looking to assess the potential profitability of an investment. Prime yields in the CBD continue to experience compression and are currently down to a low 3.2%. Q. Qualified buyer. A qualified buyer is a buyer that has proven that they have the financial capacity and creditworthiness that is needed to be able to pay the price that they have offered to purchase a property. Especially when it comes to commercial real estate, buyers usually make sure that they are pre-qualified by a bank or other lender before making an offer on a property. The bidding process for the portfolio is only open to qualified buyers. R. Redevelopment. Redevelopment refers to the improvement of land through new construction on a site that was previously used for other purposes. Both brownfield and greenfield sites can be redeveloped. However, you'll typically hear the term used to talk about the redevelopment of urban areas. The property developer specializes in redevelopment and is currently working on a residential project that will also feature extensive landscaping. S. Sale-leaseback. A sale-leaseback transaction or arrangement, which is also known as a leaseback or sometimes as a sale and leaseback transaction, refers to a situation in which the seller of a property immediately begins leasing that property from the buyer. Basically, the seller of the property becomes the tenant of the new owner at that property. We just acquired a new asset in a sale-leaseback transaction. The new tenant sold us the recently completed office building and will now be leasing it from our real estate fund. T. Tenant mix. In retail, tenant mix refers to selecting and locating retail tenants in order to maximize income at a shopping center, for example. Having a good tenant mix can also be important for other types of assets because tenants from different sectors can support each other's businesses without posing competition. The asset boasts an excellent tenant mix of strong covenant companies from a number of sectors. U. Upkeep. The term upkeep means keeping something in good condition. It typically refers to the work as well as the costs involved. The landlord will be responsible for the upkeep of the landscaped areas. V. Viewing or to view. When you have a client that is interested in a property, you might want to schedule a viewing so that they can see it in person. During a viewing, the real estate agent gives the potential buyer a tour of the property. Buyers usually want to view a property before entering into negotiations regarding the purchase price. Our contact from the consulting firm just called. She said they wanted to view the property before going forward with their decision. W. Walkthrough. A walkthrough is a final inspection of a property that's conducted just before closing. During the walkthrough, the buyer looks at whether all repairs have been made to their satisfaction and that the property is generally in the condition that was promised when they made their offer. The walkthrough is scheduled for this Friday. If all goes well, we should have the deal closed before the end of the month. X. Cross-bracing. To keep things short, the term cross-bracing can also be written with an X in place of the word cross. Cross-bracing is used in construction to reinforce building structures with a system in which diagonal supports intersect. Cross-bracing can increase the building's stability and ability to withstand earthquakes. Cross-bracing is also sometimes used in partitions to improve their stability. The contractor used cross-bracing to reinforce the walls of the office high-rise. Y. Year-to-year tenancy. Also sometimes referred to as periodic tenancy. Year-to-year tenancy involves leasing a property for a 1-year period at a time. Some leases become periodic after their expiration date, which means that the tenant can continue to lease the property on a year-to-year basis. The tenant has asked us to include a clause about year-to-year tenancy following expiration of the lease. Okay, we're almost there. Time for our last letter. Z. Zoning ordinance. A zoning ordinance is a local law defining how property in specific geographic areas can be used. Types of uses include commercial, industrial, and residential. Some zoning ordinances also regulate lot size, construction density, and the permitted height of structures that can be built in that area. I agree that the building would be perfect for an office conversion. Let's take a look at the zoning ordinance and see if we can get a permit for the project. Great job! You've made it through the entire alphabet from A to Z and learned a lot of new real estate vocabulary. Now it's time to take what you've learned and incorporate these words into your real estate English. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the vocabulary we covered. Hit the like button if you found this video helpful and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. See you soon!